Hi guys. So I thought I'd just hop on here real quick to show you how to use Hole Wizard. I just went ahead and made a 20 by 20 by 10 prism right here just to show you um, how to use some M3 bolts that I'm going to slap on here. So step one is going to be to create a sketch. This sketch is going to dictate where on the part that you want your holes to be located. I want 4 holes, one on each corner, and I want them to be 15 millimeters apart. So this is why I drew the sketch this way. Verify your sketch is good. You can go ahead and exit that sketch. I'll hop into asymmetric view for you guys so it's a little easier to see. Step two, you're going to go ahead and whip out your Hole Wizard tool. So for Hole Wizard, you're going to see two different tabs. You're going to see type and positions. Type determines all the geometry of your hole. Position is going to just determine where on the object it's going to be located. So for the position tab, you're going to see two different options, 3D sketch and 2D sketch. For the 3D sketch, this is mainly used if you want it to be on multiple different faces. So I just go ahead and open up for you here, and as you can see, it reorients itself based on where on the sketch that it's located. But for our case, we can actually go ahead and use 2D sketch because we actually already made a sketch on a 2D plane. So if we select 2D sketch, we'll just go ahead and select our sketch here. And it's going to automatically populate where on the part it thinks you want your holes to be. I actually don't want a center hole, so all I have to do is delete this point right here. Go ahead and verify if all of your holes are centered, which they are. As long as that looks good, you can go ahead and move on to the type tab. So in the type tab, this is where you're going to actually set all of your features for this hole. So for our case, we're going to mainly be using this guy right here, the straight tap. This is because all of our bolts are socket heads, which we do not really care if they stick out or not. So we can go ahead and use the straight tap. Say if we had a counter bore or a countersink type of screw, you would use this option here. Or counter bore, which I believe this one is. Yep. You would use this one right here. So kind of just dependent on what your design intent is. But for this case, I'm just going to go ahead and use the straight tap. Next, go ahead and select your standard. Make sure it's on unsymmetric. We're using all metric stuff here, so we want to stay there. Type, make sure it's selected to bottoming tap hole. If not, just go ahead and select the drop-down menu and it should appear somewhere right there. Afterwards, you go ahead and select the size of your hole. So for our case, I want to use some M3 bolts here. This list is a list of all standard metric bolts along with their relative pitches. So for our case, our bolts are standard. They're M3s with a 0.5 millimeter pitch. So actually, it already did all the work for us. We don't have to worry about that. And afterwards, you're going to go ahead and select your depth. You can either make it a through all hole. You can make it go all the way up to the next surface. Same exact features that you'd see in a typical extrusion. Now, for our case, I'm going to go ahead and use the blind because I do know the depth of the holes that I want. Because we're using a 8 millimeter bolt here, I'm going to go ahead and set this to 8 millimeters. So it automatically creates a hole that's 8 millimeters down. That looks good. Most of these other options doesn't really matter. If they do, I'll let you know, or your leads will let you know. Down here for tolerance and precision, right now let's not worry about it. Maybe in the future we're probably gonna have to worry about it because this is mainly dependent on how accurate of hardware that we're using, which you have to go to the manufacturer's spec sheets to find out. But for right now, we can leave this alone. Verify that everything looks good, which it does. Oh no, it does not. Okay, now it does, and screen check. So as you can see, it's automatically made all of the holes for us. There are no threads shown in here. You don't have to worry about that. All that matters is this is right here, and everything looks good here. Because when the manufacturers actually pull up this CAD model, this is what they're going to see, or this is what they're going to look for. And yeah, if you were to want to switch these to, say, M5, very simple. Go ahead and go to Edit Feature, and you just roll it down to M5. Our M5 bolts, thankfully as well, are 0.8 millimeter pitch, so you don't have to mess with that at all. If you want to make it, say, 5 millimeters, very simple. Just go ahead and make it 5 millimeters. Check. And yeah, that's how you use Hology.